The QMC Board and Collar Series presents Excuse My Medic, the podcast version of an MCI with Chuck Humphrey and Gary Harvat. Excuse My Medic takes a unique look at today's emergency medical service news and information with hot topics, great guests, and maybe even a few offbeat stories along the way. Get ready for opinionated discussions, lively talk, sporadic jabs, and even a few belly laughs from our world of EMS. Excuse My Medic is brought to you by QuickMed Claims, a national leader in revenue cycle management and reimbursement consulting for air and ground emergency medical services. Now, hang on to the bench seat and secure your cervical collar as these gray-haired guys from EMS past take you on a Code 3 ride with no real destination in mind. You've had the disclaimer, and if you're still brave enough to stick it out, let's get started. Take it away, guys.
Good day, everyone. My name is Gary Harvat. I'm from the client services team at QuickMed Claims.
And I'm Chuck Humphrey from the business development team here at QuickMed Claims.
And welcome to Excuse My Medic. We're glad to have you with us this morning. And we've got some great conversation lined up for you. So we'll jump right into it. Good morning, Chuck. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Gary?
Doing well. Yeah, you might recall from previous episodes that we had a wedding at the Harvat house. And look, Chuck, I've survived.
Yes. Well, good. I need to watch you because my youngest daughter just got engaged. So Alicia on last Friday, and she said yes. So I'm heading down your trail. So I'm going to look for your notes along the way to survive it too.
I've got volumes to send up to you. No question at all. So, and it must be something in the water we're drinking. So we got to quit drinking out of that same fountain. It's costing us way too much money, isn't it?
You're telling me. Yeah, this is my last round. So once I'm done with this one, then I think I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Well, good. So we're gearing up for vacation at our house right now, and I'm going to take a week off next week and get some much needed R&R time. So looking forward to spending time with my kids coming in from Denver, and my daughter's coming and her new husband and my youngest son and my 88-year-old mother. So it's going to be just family overkill.
That's fantastic. Those are the times of your life, though. That's awesome. Good for you.
Around Wednesday or Thursday, I have to keep reminding myself, this is good. This is really a good thing. Do I need to explain any further, Chuck? No, do I really?
Been there, done that. Yep.
Love them all, but small doses. So we'll get through it. No question about it. So Chuck, my goodness, what do you got on the platter today, buddy?
Well, Gary, as promised, this is kind of our part 2 discussion of the proposed rule for the physician fee schedule changes. So last time we talked about the PCS. So this time when we got together, it was, kind of our plan that we talk about the new cost data collection initiative. So I thought we'd just take up with that and extend the conversation. I just want to remind everybody, the key word here is still proposed. There's still a comment period up in 1 month, actually, from yesterday, September 27th. And then the final rules, if nothing changes, should be published in November, and then a go-live date of January 1st. So, we're still in that comment period. CMS could change things up a little bit. But as we know it now, this is the way things stand. So I just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. Nothing's gospel until it's published.
We know that. I've noticed this is starting to get more and more traction. A few months ago, I heard bits and pieces about it, but it seems like on a pretty regular basis, I'm either getting asked questions or reading a new article that's out. So it seems like, like I said, it's gaining a lot of momentum here. And so in my mind, I think it's going to happen, and it's going to happen according to the timeline that they have proposed, but we'll see.
Yeah, we've been expecting this. It's not a surprise. No. I mean, last year when Congress extended the Medicare add-on and, or the bonus payments, we call them, the extension language kind of came with a mandate that, CMS wanted to know what the costs were. So basically Congress said, okay, we'll give you another few years of the extensions, but we need to find out exactly what you, the ambulance industry, are spending versus how much you're collecting, and especially how much you're collecting when we write the checks from Medicare. So the idea here is let's see what your margins are. You've been complaining to us that you're not getting enough money. So now prove it to us. And so the onus is on us now, once this all takes effect, to prove it. And hopefully then they'll use that data to fix the fee schedule. And so to get into nitty gritty a little bit, the extension legislation in 2018 called for this collection. There's going to be an online tool that will allow all ground ambulance companies to report and separate out their costs. And the big thing that I've been hearing and listening to, and reading all that we read here in the industry on our side is the key element here is separating out the ground ambulance costs from everything else. And they specifically talked about what they refer to as interwoven costs. You can have fire departments who have fire guys who spend part of their time on the engine, the other part they jump on the ambulance, and CMS wants to separate that out, So that's going to be a little difficult, and that's to where I see the challenge for all of us. I say us in the industry on the other side of the peg here. Separating that out may not be as easy as what people think. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of morphs. The tool online, there is a PDF out there. You can go to cms.gov and just do a search for the online reporting tool for the cost data, and you should be able to pull that up, and that will show you kind of the data elements. It's going to be the questions that are going to be asked online. It's something I think everybody that's an ambulance administrator should do, and probably do it pretty soon, so you have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Chuck, just a question about the tool. You've mentioned it a couple of times. I've read it in the blogs and articles that I've got. Is this like a PDF spreadsheet that you fill in the blank and submit online with lots of questions? Because I do agree with you, especially when it comes to separating out costs. This could be a very cumbersome process. I want our listeners to understand, this is nothing you get online and fill out in 10 minutes. At least in my mind, it isn't.
No, absolutely. It's a fillable PDF. So you can do it in parts. So this is going to be one of those things where you go out, you do a part or two, and then you kind of reach a snag where you need to get more info and you save it, and then you go back to it. So it is going to be out on the CMS web, so to speak, out on the cloud, and you go in and it asks questions. It's prompting you how to separate it out. So this may be something that you go out, look at, and then you go back and talk to your people. You start running some reports from your payment systems, from your reimbursement stuff, and then fill in the blanks as you go. So you're right. I think we simplify it. You think, okay, it's an online, I can go out and do it in 10 minutes and we're done. It is not going to be one of those situations from what I glean anyhow. I think it's going to be something that you're going to have to spend time maybe with your accountants on, your finance people, and for the volunteers that don't have mechanism in place. I can see this being something that's a little daunting. I think we all need to take a deep breath and prepare for it. But now's the time to start thinking ahead. And remember that everybody's going to have to do it. So it's singling no one out.
So Chuck, is there going to be a verification process? I submit data via this tool. Is somebody checking that my data is correct? Because I could see that people can get frustrated with this, especially like separating out costs. You mentioned the fire base. My goodness, if I'm a hired firefighter paramedic and 40% of my time I'm running fire calls and the 60% of time I'm running ambulance services, there's a lot of costs that need separated out. And who's going to verify that the information that I provide you is correct?
Well, I don't know that they're what's submitted is submitted, and that's why the American Ambulance Association, CMS, all of the folks, the lawyers that are talking about this are saying the onus is on you to to report the correct information. I don't know how they will be able to verify how much it costs you to run your service. This is going to be something you have to. It's honesty. It's verifiable on your end. I don't think there's any checks and balances. The only thing they're going to verify is that you completed all the data elements that they need to see. I don't think there's any way that they're going to be able to prove, other than maybe the reimbursement side, because they do have some records about how much you've been paid. But as far as costs goes, you're really kind of on your honor, as far as I know now, and this is developing, so there'll be more discussion on this, but you're really on your honor to provide what they need, and they're going to rely on you're giving them accurate data.
And I think it's worth mentioning again that this does have teeth. I know we mentioned it in our last episode. If you don't comply, there are penalties.
Yeah, you have. So what they're envisioning is every NPI that you have will receive a request for information. At that point, from the date of that request, you'll have 5 months to go out and complete the online tool. You can file an exception as a hardship if you do that within 90 calendar days of that notification. But if you don't file an exception and you're not granted that exception, at the end of that 5-month period, if you have not complied, you'll have 3 months, and after that, 3 months after, so 8 months after the initial notification, they will start assessing a 10% penalty on all future Medicare payments. So it definitely is something that you don't want to take lightly, because I don't think there's any one of us that can afford 10% less money.
No, not at all. Not at all. I agree.
So the other thing, Gary, I just wanted to point out that it's a random, they call it a stratified random sample. And it's a good part of this discussion. So it's, a random sample that involves, a stratified sample involves dividing the sample into different parts, or what they call strata. And then it's based on shared attributes. So they're going to look at 3 basic categories that they're going to kind of lump all of us in the ambulance industry in. First of all, they're very interested in our demographics and our ownership. Subcategories are going to be for-profit, non-government, non-profit, non-government, and then government types, which includes subcategories of either fire-based or non-fire-based. So they're going to look at how we're set up, how we're incorporated, how we're, whether we're a district or whatever the case may be. Then they're going to lump us into population density categories, of course, to match the urban, rural, and super rural. And then they're going to lump us by volume. And the 3 subcategories for that are 1 to 200 runs billed, 201 to 800 runs billed, and then anything over 800. That's a little broad, but it is what it is. So the idea is to sample 25% of all the ground ambulance providers over a 4-year period. So by the end of the 4 years, they have 100% sampling. And again, it's just going to be an invitation. You kind of come up in the draft, you'll get your draft notice, and then the clock starts ticking, so to speak. That's a pretty good analogy, too.
That is actually a great analogy.
So, I think encouragement to our listeners out there, especially those of you that are administrators, is I would ask myself 3 questions. I kind of just been thinking about this. First of all, ask yourselves, can we do this ourselves? Or do you need to start thinking about who you need to partner with? So the second question would be, do we need outside help, and who is that outside help? Is it our billing company for the reimbursement part? Is it the accountant? Is it a consultant that, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of consultants that are going to partner with people, take care of it. Of course, that all comes at a cost. And should I start gathering information now? And the answer to that is yes. I would, highly recommend that our listeners go out on and pull that PDF tool, that sample, start looking at the categories, and start making some notes about what you can start gathering from reports, from those banker boxes that are up in, the second floor of the fire station and haven't seen the light of day in a while. I would start looking at that stuff and start making a game plan, because 5 months is not a lot of time once you get the notice. So come next January, February, March, whenever that is, and you get the email and it's now time to start, you'll find out 5 months will go very, very quickly.
And Chuck, you and I both know we're talking to primarily EMS professionals on our podcast here today. And I'll reiterate what Chuck said. 5 months, 150 days. Folks, you can't do it with 15 days. And that's how we typically go in EMS. And I'm as guilty of that as the next guy. But I will tell you, this is something take very seriously, folks. And 5 months will go extremely quickly. And I would encourage everybody to heed this warning.
Yeah, that's we can't drive that home enough, and so that's kind of the upfront. That's the what is it. When we get together another time, we can talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts and some of the stuff they're looking for. By that time, I'm sure there'll be, we're only 4 weeks in since the announcement. After the September comment deadline, then I think we'll see some concrete stuff, and then we can have some future discussions in this space, Gary, for what's going to be required, and we'll probably hear some feedback about what the industry has talked to them about. And so stay tuned.
Sure.
This is something that we'll be talking about for quite some time.
I know my phone has been ringing with increased frequency about this subject matter, as I'm sure yours has as well. And it's something, as you mentioned time and time again, that we will continue to bring you updates on, but please pay attention to it, because this has been in the works since 2018. We're coming to the end of 2019, and it's time to start getting our ducks in a row. So I won't belabor this by getting on my soapbox any further, but it's real, it's happening. And if you read the journals, yeah, there'll be some people with pushback on this, but in the end, hopefully by doing this, we'll all benefit.
Yeah, that's if that comes out of it, that will be a win for sure. Because in the past decade or so, there have been a couple times where we all held our breaths whether we're going to lose those bonus payments, and it's a considerable amount of money. And if that would drop out, there would be some folks would be in a world of hurt. So let's fix this once and for all, and let's help them fix it. We often are critical of government that they don't do what we ask them. Here's an opportunity, I think. I mean, it's one more thing we got to do. I never liked that, but to me, here's an opportunity that we have to help them make a decision by simply providing information for what we do every day. And I think we have a great window here to effect some change of something we've been looking for quite some time.
I agree. Very good. Well, thanks for bringing that to us, Chuck. As always, the information you provide us on any subject is helpful and very informative. So thank you for that. Hey, I've got a couple news stories for you today. I thought I'd throw out to the group. Try to bring some good news, some positive stories along the way. So I have a couple that I have for you here today. A gentleman by the name of Larry Brockman. Out in Lincoln, Nebraska, an EMT with Southeast Rural Fire Department. Great group of people out there. Larry was not on duty, but happened to be driving by, and we've heard these stories before, but I think it's surely worth mentioning. Larry happened to be driving by what appeared to be an accident scene, a truck into a pole of a few weeks ago, and saw bystanders what he thought was caring for the patient, but something caught his attention. So he actually drove past the accident scene, drove back around, came back to the accident scene, and found that the driver of the vehicle probably had crashed because he had a cardiac event and was in cardiac arrest. So Larry, who was on his way to take his mother to the doctor's appointment, went back, got the gentleman out of the truck, began compressions only CPR. We've heard a lot about that lately. Has CPR come a long way, Chuck? My goodness.
Wow,
15 and 2. Yep. Switch on 3 next time. Remember that, Chuck?
Yes. Yeah, you're telling me. Yeah,
come a long way.
Yep. We've
Larry,
created something brand new, that's for sure.
Yes, we have. And you know what? It's working.
Yeah, it is.
It's working.
Incredible.
So Larry pulled the gentleman out of his truck onto the ground, began doing compressions only CPR, and lo and behold, the gentleman began to have spontaneous pulses and respirations, and took the patient to the hospital, where I believe my article says that he was still in critical condition, but did survive. And had Larry not stopped and turned around, that biological clock would have kept ticking further. So congratulations to Larry, who was working off duty, but is a member of Southeast Rural Fire and EMS, and that's up in Lincoln, Nebraska. So congratulations, Larry. Great work.
My first thought is, are we ever really off duty? But Larry's the kind of guy that knows that for sure. Well, that's awesome.
You know, over the past few episodes that we've done, Chuck, we've brought stories like this to light. And, you know, I just sit at home some nights and think there's so much positive news out there outside of EMS. But of course, this is an EMS podcast. So, but there's so many positive things. You know, we tend to always dwell on the glass being half empty, but there's some great stories out of there. People just doing things that truly, I sit and watch television at night and I get choked up about it. It just, you know, people just going, there's good people out there. And I think we tend to dwell on those stories that get attention for all the negatives. So congratulations again, Larry. Don't want to get up on my soapbox here, but we're proud of the work you do. Good job.
For
Also,
sure.
Our good friends at LifeFlight Network. You may know that LifeFlight Network is the largest non-for-profit air medical transport service in the United States. We've known them for some times. They've just been awarded the renewal on the National Accreditation Alliance of Medical Transport Applications, or NAMTA, for its ground, fixed wing, and rotor wing. It's a very challenging process to go through, and they went through it with flying colors. They've actually been accredited since 2016, but even the renewal process is no day at the beach. So congratulations to all the good folks at LifeFlight Network. So
yeah, we talked about this in another one of our sessions. We can't, you know, the United States Air Medical Program is the envy of the world, and it's organizations like this that make it happen. And you know, they often go unnoticed, in and out, quick. The ground guys even get, I think, more press than the air guys do. So it's, you know, kudos to these guys. They're keeping up that, maintaining those standards. It's an everyday thing, and you have to admire what they do for sure.
And having come from with some background in the air medical industry, you know, God bless these people for the good care they deliver, but also it's a very challenging job. You know, the pilots, the mechanics, of course, the flight nurses and the flight medics, but they're flying into uncontrolled areas with wires and, you know, other obstructions that could literally, and has sadly, caused problems for them. And so it's a very challenging field to be in. And the fact that these folks go out there and in some respects risk their own lives, and do such great work. And I think we're all fortunate to live in an area where we have access to air medical transport as well as ground, but having the air medical within relatively short distance of anywhere we are today is tremendous. Really great.
Absolutely.
So, old pal, I've got you today. I've got the word of the day, the EMS word of the day for you.
Oh boy.
And this is my turn to give to you. Last time you gave me the word form, F-O-R-M as in Mary-ication, formication, and I completely botched that one. But I do remember the word now, I will tell you that. I've increased my vocabulary, my word power, I think, as the Reader's Digest says. But I will think that this one may give you a little bit of a challenge. So, and just to tell you, Chuck, I've subscribed to Word Genius of the Day. So every day I get a new word from the Word Genius folks. So I went through the past couple of weeks and found the one that really I thought was a good one to get you on. So we'll see. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
You're sitting down, right?
I am.
Okay. Well, I didn't find anything close to the formication, but I thought this was a cute word to say the least. Okay. The word is boffo. It's B-O-F-F-O. I'd like you to think about that, and I'd like you to give that to me in a sentence that has some EMS flavor to it.
Okay. Well, first thing that comes to mind is a clown, Boffo the clown. I guess that. And then I can kind of hear the Jeopardy music in the background.
Yeah.
My brain's starting to work. That's scary in its own right.
We won't sing that. That will kill our listenership for sure.
Alex Trebek's got a handle on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Boffo. It sounds like something negative, like I boffoed out. This comes quick. Boy, this is right off the tongue here. Deciding to work an overtime shift on the day of a full moon is a boffo decision. So negative, I shouldn't have done it. What was I thinking? That's the only thing I could come up with.
Note the extended pause here, the silence.
I not even close, right? Kind of like my cornhole playing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. To say you're not even in the ball field, I don't even think you're in behind the left field wall on this one, Chuck. So, okay. So, boffo is an adjective, American English 20th century adjective, I might add, and it means wildly successful or popular. So during a recent council meeting, the mayors stood up and commended the medics for doing a boffo job at the multiple vehicle accident on Main Street.
I don't know if I was in that meeting, if I would take that the same way.
I just thought that was great.
An emoji that goes with it?
I don't know, but when I heard the word boffo, I immediately thought, oh my goodness, this has to be something about a clown. I thought the same as you did. So
let's develop a boffo emoji. We'll become famous.
Yeah. Don't they put new emojis out like every year, don't they? That's like a big deal anymore.
Yeah, you need a dictionary just to do emojis anymore.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I got a crazy story for you.
Oh, okay.
My bad. My bad.
That other one was nice, but we need a little crazy.
Yeah. All right. So I apologize. So this one comes out of Arizona, and I just saw this one the other day. Again, I subscribe to these zany EMS stories. You can subscribe to anything anymore, can't you?
Yes.
So the medics had a patient who, in an effort to kill Satan's baby that she had been pregnant with for 3.5 years, she chose to drink a gallon of Tide laundry detergent. In the medic states, I was able to keep my composure the whole time we were taking her to the hospital. But every time she started talking, you'd see bubbles in her mouth. I held my composure, he states, through that. But shortly thereafter, she vomited. And that's when I typically, the medic stating, I lost it. It was seriously like a kid's toys, bubbles everywhere. The ambulance didn't even smell like vomit. It smelled like Tide, springtime fresh flavor. I've never really laughed at people in the back of the ambulance. Maybe a light chuckle here or there, but this time I couldn't help it. I fully belly laughed about a third of the way to the hospital. She survived, and I've taken her on various calls since then, and I've come to know her as the Tide for springtime fresh lady.
Is that the only time that someone vomited in the truck that we didn't need to decon the truck? It's a whole building decon.
Springtime fresh, Chuck. Springtime fresh. You don't get many springtime fresh smells in that ambulance. We all know that.
That reminds me, my wife and I were in Walmart a few days ago, and we actually witnessed a gentleman huffing laundry detergent in the aisle. We quickly removed ourselves from that. And we ran into him at the checkout counter. He did not buy any laundry detergent. So he was simply taking off the lids of the detergent and was smelling each of the detergents.
I wish our listeners could see my face.
I have no words, yes.
I have no words.
My reaction as well. Yes.
So, I mean, truly almost a kid in a candy store. He had every laundry detergent at his disposal.
Yes. And
chose not to purchase any, but just came in for a whiff.
Yeah, it was probably one of the, and my sister-in-law is actually a manager in that store. So we texted her later and said, we just witnessed something in your store that I've never seen before.
Okay. I think we should head towards the closing remarks here, Chuck.
That would probably be good.
Yep.
Yes.
Between the springtime fresh and then the gentleman huffing the detergent, I think we've just about run out of time. Thank goodness. So, well, Chuck, thanks again for taking time from your day. I always enjoy being with you, and our listenership seems to be gaining in popularity here. We're trending upward, so that's a good sign. They're not going to throw us out tomorrow, so let's hope that continues to go. But anything you'd like to add in closing, Chuck?
No, I just want to say we really appreciate the folks that listen in, and we enjoy doing this, but we more than just having the fun of it all. We enjoy educating our clients, those folks out there that are listening in, and this is a great thing that we do, and I really appreciate your coordinating this, Gary, and we look forward to bringing more information as time goes on.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it wouldn't be as fun without you, Chuck. So thank you once again. Everybody, thanks for taking time from your day to join us, whether you be in your car or at your desktop computer in your office or at home. Thanks so much. Please, if you would, consider subscribing to all our podcasts. You can find them on iTunes, Google Play, and many others. So we'd love to have you join us. We look forward to it. I believe there's about 85 different episodes of podcasts out there. Not all of them are Excuse My Medics, but there's really some great informational podcasts about current industry topics. I know coming up in September, we've got a discussion about using credit cards as far as for your ambulance service. We have many clients that do that. We have some clients that don't. With rising deductibles and copays, it's something that people need to consider. So we have a podcast coming up in September on that. We also have a discussion about treat no transport, to bill or not to bill, in September, as well as a 10Q30. That's our client profile with where we ask 10 questions affecting the EMS industry nationally. And in September, we have the good folks from Carillion Clinic in Roanoke, Virginia, joining us. So we'd ask that you take a moment and look to our website or Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Check out our schedule and our things that are coming, as well as those shows that we've already recorded. So we'd love to have you. So thank you again. So with that, I'll wish every one of you a great day.